Hey folks, so just give you a quick update here. So I don't usually, well, haven't been, I guess. But how about this? We're going to focus on this for a while. I really don't want this to become like, a health recovery journey channel thing unless I absolutely have to. That's just a thing that's happening, and I've been transparent with you on everything so far, and so it's an obviously big thing going on in my life right now. So why wouldn't I share it, right? But it does, it's troubling, and it's troubling also to so I was telling my friend Michael this morning, right? The worst part, I think, is having video calls with people, and I see the look on their face, and it's grim. So, I mean, they can't help it. They love me, and I love them, and so we want, no harm to come to either of us. And so, it hurts to get bad news, and I'm considering it a gift in a way. With a target on it. So that's good. I mean, it's not good, but yeah, could be worse, I guess. Anyway, so just get used to that. I probably won't talk much until I can get some things going. I will visit my neurosurgeon tomorrow, and we'll get a better understanding of what's happening. So just the quick update is that, the CT scan, no bleeding, there's some unusual activity. We knew that, right? But there is some things they want to look at. So they said, not they didn't use the word troubling. I can't remember exactly. I need to write it down. That there was unusual activity. There we go. It showed unusual activity. And so we'll find out what that means exactly when I go visit them and get a better plan, I think, of at least a target. So I said, right now I really know nothing in terms of, life expectancy or anything like that. So, but, I mean, we're all gonna die, so just roll the dice, I guess. This at least you know the way it's gonna happen. It's just, man, I really don't want to stop being me, and be a shell. That just horrifies me. So to that end, then even though it's now very difficult because the tremors have become pretty much unmanageable. I mean, I really hardly can't use my hands at all, but so sometimes I can get it to slow down or ease up a little bit with focus, right? And so if I focus on the music, then it does come out a little easier. You will hear from time to time bad clams. That's how it's going to be. They just lock up, right? And sometimes, and it's like spaz, and that's just the way it is. It's no more pleasant for me than I'm sure listening to it. But this is all not really entertainment. It's my personal worship to my Creator, and it's a gift that He gave me that I didn't really use properly, I would say, and certainly misused some of it. I would definitely say that, but it did give me a very interesting life, and I have some good stories to tell. And in the coming days, I'll probably spend more time working on that project than anything else. And I'll let you know what that is soon enough. I can tell you what it is because it's all over the place. Like my thinking is right now. Well, my thinking has always been that way. It's just now that the filter that cleaned it up and presented it for use is busted, and so you get to see what's going on inside my head. And it's terrifying. And so, there's been a lot of changes. So we'll see what happens with the neurosurgeon coming up this week, and whatever it is, I'll let you know, right? But this whole thing may have triggered and the conversations that I've been having with people, and I kind of right away started wanting to make sure that if anything happens that this progresses, basically I'll be alive, but I won't be me. And I don't want it. I don't want that. So fuck that, and I'm not going to do it that way. So, but I don't want to be grim about it. Everybody dies, and we're going to find a way to make it interesting. And true to form, I'm going to try to go big and swing for the hills, right? Swing for the fences. So I'm going to try to do save the world, right? It sounds retarded. And maybe that's why it'll work. It's so dumb it could work. So I'll fill you in on that when I have something to say. But keep in mind that I think Jenny started the phrase shaking hands, right, with strangers. And it came back to me in a perfect gift. And so I bought the website shakinghands.net that some squatter's sitting on .com, of course. But I got .net and .live. I can use that for some other broadcast stuff on the back end. But I do want to like this idea that if we just meet the people around us, right, we might care more about the world that we live in, or at least the people in it. Right now, we're as a herd animal. They've got us broken apart so badly that when the wolves come, the first thing we're going to do is scatter and run for the hills. It's exactly what they want, because we don't care about the people next to us, right? It's every man for himself. Because, for the last 25 plus years at least, we've done everything we can to guard ourselves from our neighbor, right? Put up a little more sound insulation, right? Pick up a little bit bigger fence. So they don't see us. And, I understand you want to keep your privacy, and some people are just assholes, and, you don't like to interact with people like that. And, we move a lot, and so it doesn't, I guess, make sense to invest in a relationship that is going to end. And so you're creating sadness for yourself, because really when you invest in a relationship, right, love is, is this debt, and when they're gone, right, it's a price to pay, and that's, you pay it in grief, and so how much better to maybe do that in installment plans, right? And so that's my plan, is to kind of do that. I'll let you know all the crazy things. I'm talking with a gal today. She's done some work for our firm, and I like her work, so I'm gonna. But the thing about it is that she really doesn't know me, right? So she knows me because she was in for a little while, but she doesn't know me because she worked in the front and I worked in the back, and then she had some physical. She's having some issues just like I am, so she now works mostly from home, and that's going to be probably my next move, is to do that. It's just not safe for me to drive very much, and because I have moments where the little trimmer, right, the seizure is in my head, and so I kind of for a minute. It's very humbling, certainly, but there are also moments of blindness. That's one of the most common appearances of this, is blindness, and some people it just stays forever, and it's kind of scary, especially when you're driving. Those are pretty exciting moments. To have clean underwear handy at all times, and you gotta make sure your insurance payment is up to date. But it's kind of a drag, man. But again, there might be some good come out of this, and if that's possible, man, a win, right? A win for the home team, and I think, like I said, if I can make this work and get some motion on it. And I have some ideas about that and some history in doing it. So, if possible, right, we may have a way to put some meat on the bones, right? And of course, shout out to Effie. So that'll be cool. And even more, right? If I really do this right, then I'm going to take the road show and just go traveling around and come meet you guys face to face and shake hands. And if you'll let me film it, right? That's my gig. That's my bag. My exchange there. You gotta let me film it and use it. I promise I won't make you look like an asshole unless you act like an asshole. But I want to do this. I want to come meet you people and shake hands and say hi and get with the people that I love in my life and tell them that I love them. I think we don't tell each other enough. We, we expect that the other person knows, and it's assumed, right? Otherwise, they wouldn't be in our lives. But so I was reminded today of some industry colleagues that have passed away, and how meaningful they were to my lives. So much so that I may want to kind of turn this thing into like a little two-parter, which is paying homage to Aspen Pittman, who I worked with. He was the owner of Groove Tubes. So if you've heard of Groove Tubes, amps or, Fender Acoustasonic stuff with the Groove Tubes in it, and actual Groove Tubes. You used to buy your tubes there, and microphones and all that stuff. That was me and Aspen, one way back in the day. He picked me up out of Alesis, and went to Alesis from Mackey, and then from Alesis, then just before they carved that up like a turkey, we managed to get most of the good stuff of the intellectual property out. And, Aspen, he tried to hire me, I don't know, 24 times, and we just couldn't, he was tight with the money, and so he couldn't quite get the money right. And I made it real easy for him, but the two things was he had to get the money right, and I had to see a 30-day chip, because I'm not going to do it. So I didn't ever get either of those things. So I cried the day he called me and told me that Fender had bought the intellectual property. We did some good work, man. That stuff will never see the light of day if I don't do something, because nobody even knows what it is, right? And so I want to pay homage first to the man who he was the champion of tubes, vacuum tubes, and brought them single-handedly back to life, and revived guitar tube amps in the U.S. And everyone in the U.S. that plays guitar through a tube amplifier owes Aspen Pittman a debt of gratitude, because it would have died in the 70s, early 70s, because it all tied up. And then he managed to get, and we kind of finagled a way to get the original RCA tube whiting machines that were all in perfect working order. And then we did some good stuff on the studio side, and we had the biggest producers in LA just banging our door down trying to get, we only had 10 of them, and we hand built the first 10, and so everybody was trying to get their hands on them, and we were mother henning them all over town. But it was a fabulous experience, and like I said, I regret that he didn't get the money right and didn't get a 30-day chip, because that would have been an epic journey if we'd have been able to take that stuff and really, when it got lift-off speed, really push it forward. It's still today some of the best of its kind out there. In fact, recently I had a guy bring a pair into a shop that were in pristine condition, and I mean, we were charging an outrageous amount for them, like $2,000 a channel, like one channel of mic preamp, and it doesn't do. I mean, it's got tricks, but it doesn't do anything else. No compression, right? No EQ, none of that. We did, however, have some fabulous tricks, which was input coils that allowed us to vary the input slew rate, or the input impedance, rather. And then we could also change the slew rate of the amplifier, which was a fabulous trick, and made it just outstanding. And the best, if you got any old gear, microphones from the 50s and through the 70s, they built them a little different, and they were loaded differently, so they were matching on the impedance rather than what they do now, which is they just use a 10K ohm resistor on the end of it, and it's just impedance matched. It's stick it in there. So it's really 10K ohms, and then you just adjust to whatever you need. So anyway, all that technical stuff. But we point-to-point hand wired these suckers with stacked deck ceramic switches, and looks like something from a U-boat, which is exactly what I wanted. We had to build VU meters. In fact, our going to China to build those VU meters allowed you find them everywhere now, because we had to set up the tooling. Anyway, basically we wanted a kind of the old style real VU meter, not a just a little thing that wiggled. It really had to work. Anyway, all this to say that I've been thinking about, a number of friends, industry peeps that I worked with that are no longer with us, and kind of paying homage to them in a series of Facebook posts and stuff as I remember them. And that's an interesting thing about what's occurred here is that, I again said at the top I didn't want to get into this stuff, but we had one of the things that occurred with this seizure, multiple seizures now, is as a memory is a very odd thing, and I have known this throughout my my entire life. I've studied consciousness and memory and that sort of stuff, and it really is fascinating. Neuropsychologists know next to nothing about it. I mean, the more we know, the more we're like, what? It's so fascinating and just silly. We don't know what consciousness is, and yet it's everything that we are, right? That appears in this little, I don't know, 1-inch ball inside of our head, that kind of where we're at, and everything exists outside that. And so we're entirely in the dark about any level level of consciousness. See, like, I've still got good jokes, but we're still pretty short on our knowledge. In fact, everything that we think we know usually sets us back because it's bullshit. So they actually set back our understanding by trying things like, lobotomy. That ought to work. Look, we'll just scramble this part. Look, no more problem. Yeah, no more personality either. Anyway, as I think about, my future, certainly Rose Kennedy comes to mind. Eesh. I don't want that. So, in the interim, right, just thinking about and, some of the memories. But here's the fascinating part, and this is the weirdest thing I got to tell you, is that I have had it's given me some kind of, okay, so I have little micro seizures throughout the day. I still am. Some days are better than others. Today and yesterday I've been pretty bad, but previous to that it wasn't as bad. And part of that is the problem with memory, right? And so so there's some, it's not quite connecting, and so things happen, and if they don't lock in properly, I experience the thing, but I don't remember it, so it's like it's gone, right? And Madeline will often have to remind me that I've just done a thing, like made a cup of coffee or whatever, because I don't remember that I did it. Like, then she reminds me, and I'm like, oh fuck, yeah, I totally did that. But it's very disconcerting, and it's it really rattles me, I got to tell you. It's no fun, and it's intimidating to realize that kind of the limits of your being or this little tiny space, but so influenced by so many things. It just takes the tiniest little upset to really radically change how this system works, both physiologically and in this case neurologically. And you certainly get a better appreciation for how fearfully and wonderfully made we are as some of those systems and functions begin to go away. And the thing, for me is that for all the things that I've done in my life, I like myself pretty much. I'm not, there are things I'm not proud of, certainly, but I like the me that I am, that Dad made, right? The only things that I don't want there are things that he didn't put there, right? I've been learning that for a while, and that's a different story for another time. But he's taught me a lot of lessons, and so I do, to a degree, right, appreciate the personality that he gave me. How about that? And have always been careful not to, I don't know, be a dick about it, right? And he taught me humility, which is, if you knew me as a wild stallion, you would understand what that took, to take somebody as headstrong and absolutely fucking know-it-all as I was, and then teach me humility and the value of patience and a lot of things that I didn't see before. But the one thing that has been super interesting, and I don't know if you've ever had this experience, it's a phenomenon that many people have had. My wife and I both discussed, in fact, previously. It was a weird thing that we talked about, this time dilation under stress, that when you're having a traumatic incident, a car accident or your airplane or something, suddenly time seems to slow down or get dilated, and so you're kind of to you everything seems normal, but you can see everything going in slow motion, and you realize what's happening. Like there's enough time delay there that and you're mentally conscious enough. You know what's happening. You know that everything's going in the speed that you see it, not experiencing it. It's slightly distracting at first because you're like, what the. And then you realize that it seems to be a function of, hey, this is an opportunity to get out of this shit. So you can actually do things in perfect time, and it gives you an opportunity to maybe survive. It's happened to me a couple of times, and the first time was very shocking because all of us that were passengers in a rollover car accident. And that was the first thing that we all talked about when we got out, was that experience, more even than the car accident. And what would be the results of us having done that was the very first thing we talked about was that sense of time dilation and how weird it was. And I think at least two of us afterwards, because we lived in a town with a college and they had a medical facility there that we could go study, and so I went right away and studied about how it works and was fascinated by it. We're fearfully and wonderfully made. It's remarkable. Well, especially one that we know very little about, because we see all sorts of crazy things, is our neurological system. That being the tendrils of the brain that stick down through the rest of the body that tell it what to do. And there are, there's a large, the spinal column, that's a biggie. I got the vagus nerve, front side, and these things kind of work in combination. And we very little understand it. I mean, there's a certain amount you can do by poking, here and there, and figuring out what goes on. Do this like with goldfish, kill the part of the brain and go, what happens there? Oh my God. One of my best friends in Salt Lake City, he and his wife were both doctorate students there at UW, and they were both working in research stuff, and he was doing high-end computer CGI. Well, I can't even get into too much of it because it is all classified. So he can't even tell you what he's working on. But his wife was working on a similarly classified but less scary, maybe not, maybe now it is. They were doing a lot spinal column research on fish. Basically that's what they were using, where they take their cut the spinal column and they're trying to regenerate growth, and so that is of course well-funded stuff. And so we were talking about how odd it is, right? The world that's around us, and in these many different ways, and how we perceive these things that aren't really kind of real. Like we're kind of watching a show on a screen. It's a very weird thing, and the fact that each of those processes takes longer then some of them take different time, and the optical nerve takes the longest of those, but all the sensors that come back from everywhere, sight, sound, smell, taste, all that stuff, gets time aligned in its process to fit with vision, because vision and hearing don't happen at the same time, because the way we process, that sound takes longer to travel than does light, and yet, light travels pretty much instantly as far as our perception of it, but it takes time to go through the vitreous fluid, and that slows it down, right? And then you get the retina, and then it's got to get to the nerve and go through it, but then it's got to go flipped over, upside down, backwards, cross over to the other side, so that we can render the image in our brain. There's a lot of stuff going on, and so what our brain does is make a little, a slip in time, right? That makes it all work, and that's a fascinating thing. Especially, when I'm going through kind of this process that, I described it as it felt very much like you got pulled out of your meat suit and then didn't get quite put back in properly. And it's very odd, and it's very scary, I got to tell you. And at least so far, I've found that as bad as it's gotten, and it's gotten really bad just in a few days it's happening, it does seem to diminish some a little bit. So it's not as good, because some days are like, oh shit, I'll be out of here in a week. This is bad. So yeah, so but because of this, what you're hearing right now is that's why I'm going to mostly take a break and just do the ringy dingy, and playing the music, and the music is just my way of worshiping Dad, and it's always been that way. That's the way I approached it, and so these are in no way performances. I had somebody mention that, hey, a couple of them sound very similar. I'm like, yeah, that's going to be the nature of it, because just the way I've always done it is I'm just sort of chasing this little trail, and so I might find a hook, right, or a little idea that I like, and I'll come back to and try to work it out, and so you'll hear me even within one session play around with the thing 2 or 3 times, or look at it a couple of different ways, and this is how I often approach songwriting, but that's a craft. That's actually you're building something, and so it's a very different thing than what this is, which is just letting it go and worshiping. So that's what comes out. So you're going to find sometimes things probably get repeated, themes that are repeated, or sound similar, right, or unusual, whatever. Yeah, deal with it, because I'm not likely to change that. But I am, it is kind of a sense of exposure, in that, I feel very, very naked, which, by the way, I am, but no, I got another bathrobe on. How about that? But no, it's very intimate when you're pouring your heart out to your maker, and without, often I'll have, words, or I'll sing the Psalms or something over it. Or sing a prayer, but right now vocals are really in bad shape, and I won't traumatize you with that. So really, just the sense of it from the music. And again, I'm doing these to sort of invite you in as a guest, and I appreciate that. You hang out in the group and chat, and I love that, right? Because I can't really look over the way it's set up. I can't see the screen or anything when I'm doing it, so I'm really just closing my eyes and playing. I probably will set the camera back up in coming sessions. People have asked about that, so they can see the hands. I'm like, yeah, but what you'll see is pretty astonishing that the tremors are, they pretty hard on some days. But again, we'll see what's happening. So anyway, I'm not trying to bum you out. I'm trying to give you just a setup for what to expect if you have come here before and you're a regular, or if you're new. At least you have the opportunity to now you know the whole background, right? What's happening here and why there's been the changes in the channel, right? Is that it'll take me a minute to get back to the stuff. I mean, I guess you can tell I still have the mind for it. I still want to do that. And the research, but right now, there are more pressing concerns, and again, I sort of have to determine how I want to choose to do this how closely or how openly I'll do that. To have you walk through. I'll be transparent as I can and certainly honest about everything. How intimate, that kind of remains to be seen, right? There are just some parts that are, that's, it's not for you. But I have noted as I go through this list of the people in my life who have made an impression on me and an impact, and there have been so many, and in so many different areas, right? From all kinds of things, from ministry to electronics and tech, to to studio and recording and marketing, and broadcasting. You fucking name it. I got in there for a little bit just to see what it was like. Because you don't know till you try, right? So I would try everything related and anything that seemed interesting, and I had a lot of great opportunities. And some of them, as I think back, I wish I had taken. That would have been just fabulous if it had worked out. And sometimes it doesn't. I can't go back and bemoan any of that. I had a great ride, and a lot of fun doing it, and met some wonderful people that. Some of them made really great food. Enjoy it, right? Like enjoy every bit of it, right? Squeeze every drop of juice out of that thing. Don't wait for tomorrow, because you just might not get it. So anyway, I'm gonna play some tunes here, just some noodle stuff, and if you're welcome to hang out and hang, be with me, and I'll say goodbye at the end, and. And that'll be that. So, anyway, just some thoughts in the wee hours. All right, I'll try to do this. It's become very uncomfortable, and I can't really move around too well in here. That's why you have long periods of silence sometimes. Is that stuff gets messed around. Cables want to get twisted and torn. Okay. So this is one of those, maybe it's not meant to be this morning. I don't know. Everything is broken. Like, really. It could have been no more tangled if I tried. And it's still trying to do it. Ah. All right, jeebers. Jiminy jeebers. That was no fun. Hopefully this will be. More fun. Oh, man. It's a lot of weakness in there. I don't like it. But we'll try it. I'll try something different here, and we'll see if we can make it work. And I hope you're groovy with me, just kind of looking all over the place for stuff, because that's the way I'm going to do it. So here we go. Let's see here. Are you doing okay this morning? If you're up at this hour, there's something going on. All right, let's see if I can do this well. Okay, kind of weird out there, but it's early in the morning. You know, it's like that. Hey, thanks for stopping by. There's not too many here. I'll look what I got here. I can't see very much. Hey, good morning. Hey, Mojo Shop. How are you? Good Fathead. How are you, man? Good to see you. Oh, yeah. Okay. Hey, I appreciate that. Life is the truth. That actually does make me feel better because I do feel like it's kind of a bummer. It's like I didn't intend that. You know what I mean? It's like it's just a thing that happened, and it's not a fun thing. And you know, everything is true. I love you people, and I don't want to, you know, cause you pain or you know, discomfort, and just for my condition, right? So it's an awkward situation, I think, for everybody. But I want to make it better, right? It's like, look, if this is going to result in, you know, a quicker shuffling off of the moral coil, right? Again, so what, right? Like a beats a car accident, right, or some other dread disease, you know. Thank God, not one manufactured. Yeah, you know what I mean. So, yeah, I don't. I just don't want to, like, I don't want to be that guy. You know what I mean? And yet, I am I am going to be that guy, and at least try to play on that for the thing that I'm going to do. So, I mean, I'll explain it later. But you know, I'm not out there pulling anybody's heartstrings for cash or anything like this. That's not my deal. And you know, it's not that we couldn't use it, I'm sure, but that I don't. It's not my deal to go get in people's pockets. Right? I feel like if they're so motivated, they'll do that, and I let them know at the bottom how they can do that. And I had to take PayPal off the list because they're assholes. So fuck those guys. So yeah. Yeah, I love you. And man, that's the kind of vibe that I want, right? So people come in here and they want to hang out together and you know, find a cool drink of water on the way home, right? That's what I got. I can't sell you any Kool-Aid, right? And I won't ask you to drink it. But if you want some cool water, I know who's got it, right? So yeah, there you go. That's what I'm going to give you for today. And I appreciate that comment. It helps. And you know, I'm never fishing for compliments or anything like that. But it does help me when some of you guys email me and tell me that it's been helpful for you. That gives me courage and strength to continue. And I really have grown rather fond of my little group of misfits here. And I'd like to get as much of time with you as I can. On the other hand, the place is a shithole, so what am I struggling for? But man, you guys have made it so worth it for me. I mean, you know, all the drama shit besides, like, fuck those guys, man. They got issues. So, you know, and one of them appears to be that they are, you know, intimidated by people who tell the truth. And they know I'm going to tell the truth, right? And I can see why that would be intimidating to people who aren't always, you know, on the up and up. So, there you go with that. So here's how we put it in Scripture. The wicked flees when no one pursues, but the righteous are as bold as a lion. So we have that going for us, which is nice. Yeah, maybe, I don't know. Maybe I'll do a thing like this of talking in music. I don't know. I like chatting with you guys. It gives me something to do and frankly, get it off my chest. Because, you know, I'm just a guy, right? But I'm a guy who has, you know, a really long-term relationship, an intimate relationship with his Creator. Because he pursued me and I gave in. And fell in love with him. Oh my God, you guys! If you've never met our Creator, the mind blowingness of who He is, who they are, and how they feel about us, and you know, it just is so, you know, ridiculous when you, the contrast of like how could a loving God all this bad stuff? It's like. He didn't do any of that. I mean, that's what you get when you leave him, right? That is the result of what happens. And yeah, so again, it sounds like a whiny kid who got caught and is trying to blame it off on his brother. You know what I mean? So yeah, um, I've even noticed there's an interesting side effect over the last, I don't know, couple of months, maybe longer, um, is that so the separation of the oil, has sort of happened. The cream is kind of coming to the top, and it makes it easy across a crowded room, right? To see, just catch the eyes of the people, or whether on social media or whatever. It's easy. People are separating, right? And it's so easy to see who's on the boat and who's taking the train. So it's there's conflict out there already. I mean, and so what's interesting is that on this side of the fence, right, with the green grass and the good blood, right, we're fine, and we're doing good, and the only thing we're doing is kind of like, yeah, told you, which may not be the best attitude, but they walked right into that one. So I love the leftover, tag that they put on themselves, going, "I did my part. You should fucking do yours. I got the badge." And then, like 2 weeks later, there's a obit. Oops. Yeah, maybe you shouldn't get so mouthy, right? Especially when you're dealing with an all-powerful creator. Oh yeah. I mean, who do you think you're fucking with? It's yeah, people are funny, but. So in terms of what to do here with the channel, I think for now we'll just get together, hang out as we can. Maybe I'll try to organize better, but part of the thing about the noodling is just sort of when the spirit moves, you strike, and if I happen to be here, I can make do or sneak in. I'll do it, but sometimes it inspires me and I play more, and sometimes I'm like, that sucks. Throw that away, start over. But some of you have been here, like just faithful from day one. No, I have no idea why. I'm just, like I said, I'm just a guy. But I do have that relationship, and I think that if anything, it's Dad who draws people to his light. And if the cleaner I can keep that channel, then the more of it can come through and pass to people. And that's all I want. It's like, hey, if I could be a conduit for that, super groovy. When I said that, I didn't know what it would entail being attacked by the world, but I should have taken notice. There's a story about that in the Bible. That part starts in like Matthew 1. All right, and so the world is always going to hate the truth, right? Because it exposes their lies. And they find different ways to try to discredit you or just grind you down, right? Make you look bad, call you retarded, call you alternate names, right? Take legal action against you sometimes. It's just all kinds of stuff. Depends on how, intent the enemy is intent on getting you. And frankly, if your life is going perfect right now, I would be looking for. I'm stepping away from you, right? Because when the shit flies, it's gonna go, right? And I want people, in the foxhole with me who've got scars, right? They know what's going on. You get a rookie in your group, and he's gonna get you killed. Scared people, man, they'll make it hard on you, right? The rookie. So yeah, I've been saying for a while, and I'm sure part of why I got kicked out of the club. But we spent, or the group spent, an inordinate amount of time, kind of crowing about a phrase. But crowing about like a big win with Flat Earth, right? It was kind of a big win for the truther community and the tinfoil hat guys. Been, I'd say decades, at least in a century. It's a big win because it's true, and we have, it's despite how much they try to harass us and harangue us and push us off the internet and make things difficult to pass along. Saying the truth has a ring to it, right? It has that ringy dingy, and it strikes you right. And when you look into it, and then for me, one of the big ones is always, man, if they're shitting on it, then there's something in there, right? They're trying to cover it up. That they're not just dumping on it because they like Neil deGrasse Tyson that much. He's there to make you look like a tard, right? And by acting like anybody who would believe this, how ridiculous, right? And so, in a way, he's sort of like a Don Rickles comedian of science. You know what I mean? He's puff. Guy couldn't pass a fucking basic chemistry class. And the same, like, oh my God, Bill Nye. Fuck that guy. Guys, oh my gosh, he couldn't write a parking ticket. Man, it's so bad. Oh my gosh. And they think, and they think that they're all, smart, and it's hilarious. And missing the number one rule of the whole scam, right, is that the con isn't confidence in the con guy. He's obviously a scammer, right? The confidence is they build up your own confidence in your infallibility, that you're too smart to be fooled. And then, since you're too smart to be fooled, and this rube right here is willing to offer you $5,000 for something stupid, it's too good to be true. And apparently, you're too stupid to realize it is too good to be true, right? It always is. And so the confidence is not in the person, right? The confidence is in yourself, and that you can't be taken. And that's poison, right? It's your ego. Number one sin is pride. How about that? You guys are awesome, and I so appreciate it. I mean, I'm going to just continue the thing we don't talk about, but, that was such a painful thing, but such a learning experience, right? Because it was in large part, fueled by me in terms of the same thing, right? The con is that I wanted so bad for it to be real, right? And I wanted it so much. I wanted to see it and to experience it, and kind of the only way to do that is to get in proximity. And so I really thought, that that was the way. And boy, was I blind, right, to some really obvious things, and they were red flags. And I'm not going to say anything. I back up and not going to talk about it, but I wanted it so bad, right? And these are the lies we tell ourselves, right, to get us through the day. That that hot girl really is interested in something other than my wallet. I mean, it could be right. It could be real, right? Well, yeah, it could be, but I don't think that's what she's after when she comes into your inbox, right? Like, hey, sweetie. She might just be really friendly, and from Poland or something. I don't know. Again, we let it happen because we tell ourselves, and the only person we have to blame is ourselves, and that is me for nearly all of my problems in life. Right? Is either I did something to allow it to happen. I didn't pay attention. I went for something that I should have not, or I didn't go for something that I should have because it was too much like work, and everything else came so easy. So why spend the time on the hard stuff when you can get results from the easy stuff? I think you hopefully by now understand why that's an issue. So yeah, wisdom comes with age, hopefully, right? Over time you learn some things, but the number one the number one cause of my problems is me. And I'm okay with accepting that, right? And then I just have to, figure out where those actually are, and then prevent it from happening. But I certainly have. I'll say this: I've really enjoyed certain of this community. Again, you're terrific people, and just salt of the earth people. That's what I got out of the solar return thing that I went to, was that just the best people. Right, and all the people that they told you to be scared of, were, these are the best salt of the earth people, and the kind of people that I want with me in an apocalypse. So So I'll tell you what, I'll tease this right now. There is a kind of a plan. I'm starting a plan because I'm conspiratorial, so don't tell anybody because it's a secret. I think it's game on. I want to do this real bad. I want to do this real bad. I want to come meet you guys. I want to meet everybody. And so I think I'm gonna start some kind of fundraiser Kickstarter thing for just a reasonable. Like, I know they're on a lot of money, but it doesn't have to be nude or fancy or anything. Just reliable. A motorhome, right? RV of some kind. So that just the idea basically is to grab the keyboard and a couple of small amps, and basically busk my way across the country. And set up a few house concerts and a couple of shows or whatever if I can find some local people to do it with. The good thing I've got, right, is that I kind of don't do requests, right? So I'll play anything you want as long as you write it on a $1,000 bill. That's, I'm good. Give me a check for $1,000. I'll take a stab at it. So anyway, this is the idea. You heard it here first. It's a secret squirrel right now, but hopefully before I get to the end of this week, I'll have a better idea. Things are moving pretty fast, which is what I hope for. On the other hand, it makes things scary that they're going really fast. But it may provide and afford the opportunity to meet you guys in person and do exactly what Jenny Sparks said when she started her channel called Shaking Hands. As it turns out, I now have Shaking Hands, so I bought the website, shakinghands.net, because there's a squatter on the real one, of course. And .live that I can probably use for something on the back end. But this may be an opportunity because my mom just passed away, and because my dad is long retired. My brother retired last year, so just before this occurred. You don't know, my mom passed away just in January. So my first time. I didn't like it. Don't recommend it. Yeah, miss my mom. Anyway, so yeah, the basic idea, I'd love to, throw in a motorhome and go on house tour, busking, because I can do it pretty easily with the keyboards, pretty small setup. I think I got enough small PA gear, like really small, that I can kind of repurpose. I think I got the stuff. I've gotten rid of most of the audio stuff over the years. Just a couple of things now, and I just need to tidy them up, make sure they work. But there you go. I can start busking like right away, and then travel across the country. And if I pick up a few folks, right, if they're ready to go, grab your skit fiddle and get on. But my dad, my brother are there, and I think they might be into a little, just adventure, tour. So that is the current, idea. That's as far as I've gotten with it. Is to hey, somebody buy me a motorhome, would you? Because I don't have any money and I need to get from here to there. So that's that's my issue. If you guys can find a way to help me out with that, I'm sure. So I'm going to talk to some people and see what we can come up with in terms of some promotion. I'll probably stand in front of a bunch of cameras and try not to embarrass myself. But I'll give a big shout out to the FE crowd and just try to make the world a better place to live in, even if it's only for a little bit longer. So right now they got this place. They turned this place into a shithole. Is what they've done, quite frankly. Talking to the waiter at took Mama to breakfast this morning. Talking to the waiter there, and he said, he's a cool, bun, got the man bun thing going on there, kind of hipster dude, and we were talking. He's a pretty cool kid, and So, but just kind of, I can't remember exactly what he started with. Things go in a certain direction. I went, oh yeah, I said, here's the problem. I said, it looks pretty scary out there. I mean, I'm going to give it. So I don't know if you guys have played around, and here's the thing: I don't recommend it because there could be some really ugly things going on in there, and I risked it for your safety, so you didn't have to. The new AI that's out there, Chat GPT, Bard, all that stuff, being so it's out there, and the way they're rolling it out is they're one step behind in the, it's called a limited hang, and so you've done this much, but you're only going to admit to this much. That's where they're at. So there's several iterations beyond that already, and it's in the wild for sure. I mean, every instantiation of it is an opportunity for a full nodule anywhere. So of the AI. So here's the thing, man. I played around with it for just, I don't know, half a day, and I'm gonna say that probably earlier, but by the end of the year, there will not be almost any jobs for people under $40,000 a year. Every single one of them will be replaced by AI. You might get some manual labor, but anything like those bottom end desk jobs, right? That kind of crappy admin thing, it's gone, right? So I mean, think of it, right? So I'm in here and I go, okay, I don't know, let's say I got a team of three kids, and I'm like, hey, give me a marketing report and blah blah blah. I need the verticals and yeah. All right, and I expect that when I give them, the key data that I need to give them and where to get it. Because that's kind of what you do, and say here's how to go find it, and they go get it, and they come back and they each put together the report, and then I meet with them and put it all together, blah blah blah, and chew it up, put it in a blender, blah blah blah, make a frappe out of it, and we're all drinking coffee. I can do that in 15 seconds. Say, do me a marketing report on blah. It'll give me a really good one that has proper grammar and spelling and an actual summary, and they know what they're talking about. Versus, a kid that's making $40,000 a year, and he's trying to spell because he's not used to using anything but text, and so he thinks it's totally fine to. Or and that's business speak, and then people allow it, right? So they tolerate it. And now it's made its way into the business center, and so yeah, at this point, so now you've got end of the year, right? Christmas time, everybody wants their new video game, except nobody gets any money because they got no job because AI took their jobs, and now you got a bunch of they're broke now, right? So broke and horny and pissed off incels and nutbags, angry because they're not getting their PlayStation 5 or whatever the fuck it is you kids want these days, right? So it's going to be a very bad Christmas. By the end of the year, you can see fucking total global collapse, because here we got the Bit Bros. Do I have to say the name? Yeah, Bitcoin Bros. You know what I'm talking about. Really push that awfully hard, right? You just don't understand it because you're old. No, I understand it. That's why I don't want it. No, you don't get it. You don't. No, you're just not getting it. No, I 100% get it. I promise you. I totally get it. In fact, probably better than you, which is why I'm not touching it. And that stream didn't go well. Neither did another. When they don't like it that I love Jesus. And I'm okay. I'm okay with that, So, okay, cool, right? But it makes it easier. And now I guess it makes it easier out there in the world, right? Is it, it's easier to spot the good guys. I can kind of see over a crowd there, hey, how are you? And that's kind of where I started. It's easier now to see the folks that are on your team. There are not many, but they're going to be valuable, and if they're on your team, and if you can help them out, and when they need help them out, and that's how we stay alive. Yeah. So basically, yeah, I'm full down on some, fucking naked hippie cult compound. I'm in. Fucking sign me up, man. What do I gotta do? I'll wash the dishes or something. I can make a great cup of coffee, and I'm not bad with food. I've lost the capacity for some physical labor, which is a real drag because I at least had that going for me if I didn't have a big pile of finances, right? I just spent everything that I had on some teeth that aren't real. So how about that? And yeah, it's going to be a minute to resolve. It's terrible. Hey, let me I'll give you a hint. Take care of those teeth if you're going to need them. Don't let them go away. I had perfect teeth, which then let me just kind of ignore them as I was going through my life. And then all of a sudden, shit caved in. I'm like, oh God, yeah, right. So it is real bad. So that was, what happened. That kicked off the whole thing 2 weeks ago now. Had a full extraction surgery. That sucked. And then 3 days later, post-op, had a seizure, a big neurological thing. Yeah, and then and not not content to just sit there and piss me off a little bit. It's coming back over and over, and it's increasing in amplitude. So I mean, it does appear to be degenerative, and I just don't know the rate, right? So that's the unknown at this point is how long and what happens on the process, because it basically is as I figured out. Between these two converging neurological disorders, they both seem to be, at least in a liminal space, sort of marginally related to, the myelin delamination, right? So the sheath that covers the nerves has gotten thinner, delaminated. And then they're too close together, and then there's crosstalk, and so there's confusion, and then you act like a tard, and you look like it, and you talk like it, and pretty soon, before long, you become it. So the tremors are also in your prefrontal cortex, and so over time, I will not be the me that's me anymore, and I don't want that. Fuck that shit. So I gotta figure out the best path between here and there. But one of it is getting to know the people that I've met and come to care about a great deal. And that's you guys sitting on the other side there. All 5, 6 of you, whoever. But it's early in the morning. Anyway, I just for you few, right? You'd be the hardcore ones. I really appreciate you keeping me encouraged through this period of time. It was really difficult. Obviously, it has been. It's going to continue to be a really difficult challenge. And I was talking to the dentist this morning, having those adjustments made, and I'm like, just show me the end of the road, right? Like, don't the step by step. Okay, it's grinding me down, but don't make those the goals. Point me at the end, right? And then I can make it through the other stuff. But man, if I have to meet each one of those little goals in between, I'll just they're not worth it, right? It's like each one is like, oh God, for that little improvement? No. And so if I look at it the other way, right, and go, here's the goal, and each one of these improvements, like, oh God, yes. So each one is like, oh, okay, better. So that improves that. So anyway, that's a story, and like I said, I really want to keep this from being like a medical mystery diagnosis show or whatever. But as I said at the outset, you guys have come along with me for the journey on everything else, and so it feels like it would be dishonest, not to just tell you what's happening. It's not great for me. I mean, but like I said, on the other hand. Everybody dies, right? And so most people don't know how or when. And so maybe it's a gift in some ways, right? It's an opportunity. God says, hey, you're a procrastinator. You need a little extra time, right? So maybe it's like that, right? And that's a gift, I think. So I'm trying, I'm trying to be a good sport about it, do my part, and so I think there is. I think there's a part for me to play yet, and and then we'll see what happens. But yeah, much love. Oh God, Maggie, love you too. You know, and we're gonna all hug. And see, it's a great way because now this is maybe how I can get into your face and give you a hug without having to deal with the fucking flight bullshit. So maybe this is the way to do it. So help me come up with crazy good ideas for 50 grand, something like that. It's probably what I need to get a reasonably serviceable thing and all set out and everything like that. And I'm going to call my dad, who basically invented like the bus, like modern conversion van bus thing, with a Volkswagen van back in 1961 with his partner Ed Anderson, and they made what became Volkswagen. Let's see, it was adventure campers, I think that's what they called it. And in fact, you can see them in a bunch of TV shows from that period. So from like 1971 through about 1978. You would see them in the background of a bunch of television shows like the Mod Squad, right, or Emergency. You would see them often in the background because they were everywhere, right? And then now I watch it in the future, watching from the future, and see this thing. So and then one of the weird things, I was trying to tell you this earlier and I spaced while I was telling you, is this weird effect of like a reset button, right? And so it's fucked up the memory bad. It really is pretty sad. Like I can't sometimes in the middle of a sentence remember what I was talking about. It's it's terrible, and it shakes me up, right? It's not me, and it and then this whole thing is worsened by agitation, right? So the more stressed I get, the worse it gets. Nothing stresses you out like that. It's awesome. Oh man, God has a sense of humor, I'm telling you. Anyway, I continue to keep forgetting about this, but because apparently I'm a tard. But I want to see. I'm going to need help with this because my short-term memory is really racked right now. And I had honestly had a moment in the grocery store yesterday, and I just I was trying to ask somebody, and I couldn't make the words come out right. And the guy's looking at me like, "Are you all right?" And I'm like, I'm having some problems. And he looks at me like he's scared to death. And when he figures out I'm just looking for an item, but he doesn't know where it is, he's so relieved that he could just go, I don't know, I'll go ask that guy. He's like that crazy guy over here. But I was panicking, man. It's like I didn't know why I was there and where I was, and it was bad, and I didn't like it. So hopefully, I'd like to get that fixed, but current prognosis is going to go the other way. So, like I said, I better not procrastinate, right? I want to spend time with the ones I love. I want to tell people who impacted my life that they did that, what an impact that they had on my life, and that they measure up and in my opinion, and have respect for them. And already, there's a few people that I've called. It's been a beautiful and remarkable experience, and even the short versions that we get to have together. Call my buddy Mike Hansen in Nashville, a really good friend of mine. It's weird because he had called just out of the blue, like, I don't know, 4 or 5 weeks ago. And it was right during the thing with my mom passing. And so he called at an awkward time, and that's, not really good. And I'm just like, all right, we'll talk later. And then, but he knew, like, he's like, I knew something was up. And I'm like, I've been fighting the myalgic encephalo, but the ME, we'll call it that. Been fighting that for a while. Right. So, but I think you just kind of. Oh, here's okay. Here's Mike Hansen. This is how. Okay, it's exactly the same as what it was before. Gosh, like 7 years ago, man. We were having shit luck, and I went to go do a gig in a casino up north, and somehow, somewhere during the night, I heard a rock or something on the freeway, and it hit pretty hard. I was like, shit. So I waited until I got, and these casinos are kind of far out there. So, I waited until I got out there, and got out there and then did the gig, and then left early in the morning because I had another job to do, and so I just packed up as quickly as I could, and I left, and I noticed that there was some fluid on the the ground, and I was like, it doesn't look like oil. It's probably okay. Well, yeah, there was oil, and yeah, it's got about halfway down the freeway, about I don't know 70 miles, and then saw the light go on and heard the sound of the pistons, started seizing up a little bit. I'm like, oh fuck. So the worst possible time, we lost our car, and it just boom, just like that. And okay. So I forgot to tell the story the right way. It doesn't matter either way. Is that he had called me and just he out of the blue he said, hey man, I just got a sense that you needed some help. So he funded me some cash, and I mean a pretty substantial amount of cash for us, right? We're not like 10 grand or anything, but a couple of $1,000. And it was like the day that my car blew up. I was like, I was gonna go get it tuned up and fixed for go another 50,000 miles, because it was gonna do that, and then I took a rock right in the oil pan and didn't catch it, and so by the end of the day I didn't have a car. But he just given me like enough, a couple $1,000 I think it was, that I could get a car for like $1,500, and keep going. And he's just a beautiful man. We have a long glorious existence. We're not gay or anything, but we love each other. Not in a prison way, but we grew up in the industry together, and we have great stories to tell. So anyway, he's just like he got a sense that I needed the help, and so he sent me the money. Wouldn't touch me paying him back, and but it came at the perfect time because I needed that car, and so I could, he called me, I don't know, again, it's probably about 4 or 5 weeks ago. It was probably, I think it was right after my mom passed. And so I was just like, yeah, it's just not a good time, I'll get back with you. And then I got, worse news. And so I called him this morning, and I just told him, hey, I'm on this kind of, I don't know, world tour mission. I want to go tell the people that I love them. And I love you, right? And we had a moment. He's a good guy. I thought of my buddy Tom Faffel. Amazing guy. And had his life taken by a stupid drunk guy. It's just so stupid. He was at a gig at a casino, and Tom, pronounced engineer, so he was forever Queensrÿche guy here out of Seattle, and just a long-time friend and a sweetheart of a guy. I mean, nobody that met this guy didn't love him. And I was so excited when I was moving back because I was going to get to hang out with him again. The fucking month I moved here, man, he went to do a gig at one of these casinos, and we do it all the time. And they had a set of rooms that were the old ones that, had the door outside instead of inside in the hallway. And so he was late. It was like 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning, and he was got done with the show, right? And he was tired and just, he had a couple of drinks, but he wasn't a big drinker. And so he's making his way back to his room, and he had his lady with him. he's trying to get in the door and he's having trouble, and so he's looking at his key trying to figure it out. And some meth head asshole inside that room thought it was the cop and fucking shot through the door and hit my buddy in the chest with a fucking 38, man, like 3 times for nothing, because he tried to get in the door of his room. Oh man. And this is the world we live in, and I'm like, I don't think I'll win another round, you know? But I had a good time. And I really enjoyed the people that I met. And you were part of that. I was really fortunate. I had a really weird life, and then I have all these connections to different industries. And the number of times that I've done the small world thing where I meet two people from 2 different industries, and they both know me. It's like, what? And it's like, what the hell? How did that happen? And that's happened, God, a number of times, right? And so that's the thing I think I want to do, right? It's just like a little, documentary thing about this, shaking hands and being connected to people, and what it means to share your life with people, and how they enrich your life. And I have a lot of people to say thanks to, and I didn't want to do this. Fuck. Okay, I gotta go, but you're part of that, right? This whole story, and I'm gonna try to do it good. And I've already got. I just started this week. I just called a couple of people, and I went, "Hey, would you help me?" And they were like, well, "Of course. What do you need?" And so you'll know a little bit more about me, and maybe I'll give you some gifts on the way out, and I have a fucking party. I don't want to do it grim and fucking bullshit, and so I don't want to wait until I can't. Right? I don't want to wait until it's not me anymore. It's a fucking husk. I don't want that. See, I'm a pussy. I love you guys. I just fucking love you. And you have made it worth it, right? Like all the pain I endured through this and just people being stupid. You guys made it worth it. And I appreciate you for that. And for those of you stood behind me and kept me afloat, I appreciate it. You guys are awesome. I found some really cool people in this world again. I need you to keep it going. Okay, I gotta go. I love you guys, man. God, so I'm gonna delete it. This shit's going down. I gotta delete it, man. I can't do it. Yeah, I don't think I can do it. Yeah. I fucking love you guys, man. I'll see you soon.